Welcome to the Parkland Report. My name is Seamus Reilly. Joining me today, Dr. Christine Young, Vice President for Academic Services here at Parkland College. Welcome to the Parkland Report.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great. Listen, there's a lot going on campus. Let's start off talking about some of the construction, because I know it's a hot topic, and now that the more daylight saving out there, we can see more of what's going on in the evening. The latest addition on the academic services side is the Fine Applied Arts annex or extension. Talk a little bit about what's happening there.
Sure. Well, we are thrilled. Right now on the west side of our campus, patrons can't get to the theater or planetarium too easily because we're expanding the Sea Wing, and we're going to, for the first time in Parkland's history, or at least in many years, we're going to be able to co-locate our fine arts. So our painting studios, drawing, ceramics, metallurgy, we're going to have them in the same hallway for the first time in studios that were truly designed to be art studios from go. So our students are going to love it. Our faculty are certainly going to love it, since they were the ones who designed it. So that's one construction site. And on the interior, in the courtyard, where the theater and the planetarium are, is appearing right now a black box theater, what we're going to call our second stage. So this will be a very flexible performing space. We'll be able to use it for student productions, smaller shows, but it can also double as a performance space for some of our ensembles, a meeting space. It's sorely lacked. It'll be a classroom for our acting classes, which we don't have right now. So those two things combined, it also permits us to do some internal rearrangement, bring our graphic arts all into one place. So this summer is going to be a very busy time at Parkland. I'm sure Dr. Moore will talk about that, but on the academic side, we will be bringing our fine arts programs all together in some just terrific spaces.
So it creates visibility for the program as they're all together. It also creates some visibility for students who are taking one class, maybe not aware there's a metallurgy class or a jewelry making class.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think it'll be a very attractive door. A new door will be appearing on our Sea Wing lots on the west side of campus, so we anticipate a lot of students, a lot of visitors would come to that door. And we have display cases in mind, and our students and visitors will be able to pass through and see what our students are doing in the fine arts. Right now, you kind of have to go out of your way into an exterior building to see what our students are doing, and it's really terrific work. So we're so joyful that we'll be able to display that more readily.
So as we're expanding on campus, and a lot of work has gone on in the past couple of years, we've also taken on a new and a very exciting venture off campus, and that's the acquisition partnership with the Institute of Aviation at the University of Illinois. Yeah. I think we're going to call it Institute of Aviation...
Parkland College Institute of Aviation at the University of Illinois.
There you go.
Sure. So
it's a long title.
15, yeah, we're looking for the acronym, but 15 miles away from our home campus here. We've entered into just an outstanding cooperative relationship with the University of Illinois and with another partner called Riverside Research. But for the university's part, as most of our community knows, the Institute is closing down. They have their last group of students moving through now, and the Institute will cease to exist as a unit of the University of Illinois in summer. And what we've done is we reached an agreement with the University of Illinois, and they have generously, very generously, permitted us to lease all of their planes, their entire fleet, 29 of them, for $1 a year. For an additional $1, which we think is gouging, but we can differ on that. For an additional $1, we're leasing all of the facilities at the airport that we need in order to hold classes. So the old terminal, for people who are familiar with that, and the areas that we need to store the planes and have them secure overnight, and other matters for this additional $1. So for $2 a year, we have the planes and the place in order to continue flight training in central Illinois, and being Parkland College, we're going to have many additional opportunities available.
So talk about a little bit about what the Institute has done previously, primarily teaching people how to fly planes.
Yeah.
But there's more than one type of pilot, and there's more than one type of instruction, and there's more than one type of pathway that you've got. So let's talk a little bit about, from a Parkland perspective, what we are going to be offering to our community and opportunities for our students.
Sure. Well, what the university has done, they have an over 60-year history, a really well-respected history of preparing quality commercial pilots. But students who wanted to follow that pathway at the university had to be admitted to the college, had to be admitted to a program and sign on for a bachelor's degree. And move through that program of study. So it wasn't possible for a citizen who might be interested, I've just always wanted to be a pilot, I want to be a private pilot. The university wasn't set up to be able to do that, and that's not a criticism at all. University has its mission and community colleges have a different mission. So just by virtue of Parkland taking the institute on, for the first time in many years, we'll be able to do private pilot training in Savoy at the airport. So interested individuals who just want to be a private pilot, starting this fall, will be able to take Private Pilot 1 in the fall and Private Pilot 2 in the spring. All they need to do is there's a special application to apply to be part of our aviation program. It's not selective admission, it's not competitive, but you can't wake up one morning and decide I'm going to be a pilot. There's a few things you need to do, including medical clearance in order to fly. So if people are interested in learning how to fly, you can do that at Parkland College. And I would encourage people to go to our website, it's just the regular Parkland website, /aviation. And the application form is there, and it lets individuals know how to prepare to be a private pilot, and we can be flying in the fall.
So really is that simple. You have to sign up and you have to take courses, and it's a very hands-on type of training. I understand there's, a ground school kind of aspect of it, understanding the rules and regulations and physics, I guess, I suppose, of the aeronautical kind of piece, but then you really are behind the...
You know, Seamus, it's the best of what Parkland does. We know how to work with transfer students, and we know how to prepare technical students with high-skilled capabilities to go into the workforce. Aviation is our sweet spot. We do both. It's a very technical field, very hands-on field. But students who want to be commercial pilots do need to go on for a baccalaureate degree, and so they need to transfer those credits. So for students who want to do more than just fly, for students who want to do this for a living, we have an associate degree program set up that's aviation classes and the general education classes, just like a conventional associate degree that the student would graduate from Parkland. And then we already have relationships with the University of Illinois. They will accept all of those aviation credits in transfer, and of course all the gen eds, and have junior standing. For those who are familiar with the Parkland Pathway program, that option is available with aviation as well. And in this field, my understanding is if you want to be a commercial pilot, a cargo pilot, you need a bachelor's degree. Doesn't matter what the bachelor's degree is in. So for students who want to study aviation for 4 complete years and have a degree in aviation, we're working on a relationship with Southern Illinois University, which has its own flight school, a very attractive, it'll probably be a 3+1. Student can spend 3 years at Parkland and transfer for their 4th and final year to Southern. But students who want to go to the University of Illinois, students who are already University of Illinois students and would still like the opportunity to learn how to become a commercial pilot, those students will be able to transfer back and forth in a more conventional relationship. It's just that their bachelor's degree will end up being in something that's not straight up aviation because the university doesn't have an aviation bachelor's degree.
But again, it's sort of, like you said, the best of what Parkland does. It allows our students to come in and transfer, allows our students to come in and take their take classes at gen ed level here with excellent instruction and a smaller classroom environment, and frankly at a more economical rate than they would have at a 4-year school, and still have the same ability to transfer across and develop their career as a
It's the very best of Parkland. We know how to do these things, and with the university's permission, we just flat out stole their curriculum. Clearly, we're new to the aviation game, but the faculty and staff at the Institute have been very generous. The University of Illinois has been generous to the extent where our aviation curriculum is the University of Illinois' curriculum. This is one that has been refined over 60 years. It's approved by the FAA. So that will be our curriculum. So we're starting with something that we know is appropriate and quality.
And we're also, you touched on earlier on, the ability to add in other aspects of the aviation industry. So there may be in the future, for example, some ability in terms of training in avionics or in engine sort of upkeep, because we do have a lot of related industries in our area.
Yes, we hope this is just the beginning. Right now, we just want to get flight training right for this fall to make sure that we continue that strand. But we already have our eyes on what else, what other jobs are they in this region, what can we prepare students to do. So the university used to have an aviation mechanics program. We have an eye toward that to see if we could return that. Avionics, other fields. And one that we're particularly watching, I mentioned our partner Riverside Research, which is assisting us in understanding particularly the financials of running a flight school. But Riverside has experience in unmanned aerial vehicles through some other work they've done nationwide. So we are partnering with Riverside. They have desire to establish a research center to study unmanned aerial vehicles with applications in agriculture, and we stand ready to partner with them and perhaps be one of the first institutions of higher ed in the country to offer UAV instruction for that sort of pilot. So we're ready.
So we know that agriculture is a major industry in our area, and one of the industries that very quickly latches on to new technology. Talk a little bit, if you would, about the UAV potential already.
Sure.
I mean, we don't know whether they're operating already, but describe what that really looks like for an ag field.
Absolutely. So unmanned aerial vehicles can be of all sorts of shapes and sizes. We know that some are as small as mosquitoes and others are practically as large as airplanes. And somewhere in the middle, though, is the sweet spot, and those are the vehicles that can fly over a field. And with the sensor technology that's being developed, you have real-time data about how moist is the field, what is the nitrogen count, was there damage after a hailstorm, and that information would be almost immediately available to the farmer to make decisions about remedying that situation through additional applications or tending the field in a certain way. And the field is fertile, literally, in this. We are so well positioned in this community with the flight space we have, with the farming heritage, with the human capital in this town, with Habaco and Horizon and Frasca and the College of Engineering and the College of Aces and Riverside Research, of course. There's huge potential for Champaign-Urbana and Savoy to be a regional center for some great innovation that's going to be standard, I think, and not so long from now.
Well, we're excited to hear about the expansion on campus and very, very excited to hear about the work going forward at the Institute of Aviation. Look forward to hearing more about it as we progress in the future. Thanks so much for being here today.
You are welcome, Seamus.
Okay. We'll be right back after this short break.
I'm Tammy Kessler, and I'm the director of the Computer Technology Center at Parkland College. We offer Microsoft application courses and keyboarding classes in an open entry, open exit format. It's set up to be as flexible and convenient for students as possible.
I was able to pick up a CTC class in the middle of the semester, complete it on time.
Doing that online allowed me to progress quickly and boost my GPA.
The CTC really helped me with Word. The instructors there were really helpful.
Catch live, play-by-play coverage of Parkland sports. Live the action live. CobraSports.net.
Welcome back to the Parkland Report. Joining me now, Dr. Linda Moore, Vice President of Student Services here at Parkland College. Welcome to the Parkland Report.
Thank you.
Well, I know that there is a very big building on, on the new front door of campus, and I know that it's almost ready. So can you talk a little bit about that project?
You know, I could talk about it for a long time at this point, as you can imagine. Probably what's so exciting right now is we're getting very close to actually being able to occupy that building. It is so close to being done. They've been laying carpet. There are actually people in there right now as we speak who are beginning to assemble office furniture. So of course this has been a multi-year, I think a career-long planning process and dream to really better serve the community. We've heard, as you know, from everyone throughout our district that Parkland College has a beautiful campus, but it's very difficult to find an identifiable front door, and if you're not familiar with the campus, to know where to begin and where to park. So this, the new Student Services Center will be an identifiable front door, and we'll have all the services a student would need to get started, you know, whether they're applying for the first time, or they need some career advice, or they need to meet with financial aid, or they want to go to the bookstore and buy a sweatshirt or get involved in a student organization. It'll be in this building. There'll be excellent quiet and group study space, a bright and large dining area, which we have never really had on the campus. So we're getting pretty excited.
So this was a building that was designed for students. I mean, I think probably more people, more time, more thought given to how do we best serve what our student needs are. And so the co-location of services is a huge piece and a natural flow for students, and an understanding of like certain aspects of interaction with students needs to happen in one part of the building, and some others need to be right next door to one another. So it's a very natural feel to the building as you walk through it. But this is in keeping, I think, with a philosophy of sort of serving students, meeting students where they are, but perhaps also trying to direct them to make better choices, better economical use of time, make better decisions early on, to ensure that they continue on here.
Yeah, I think the building certainly was designed with how do we increase the chances of students being successful at Parkland College. And one way we do that is to make these very visible services that students do need to be connected with, and to locate them in, as you said, in logical proximity to each other, rather than sending students hither and yon throughout the campus. And it's very difficult, obviously, for someone new to higher education to figure out all of those places they need to be and all the things they need to take care of. But I think the building will lend itself to making that very obvious to students, making it easy for them, and honestly just create a beautiful, bright, and airy place for them to engage with each other, to engage with their faculty.
You know, as we talk about streamlining services to ensure student success, and we talk about making sure that the definition and design of the building sort of supports that, we're also talking a little bit about sort of helping students to structure their lives a little better. I mean, I think probably community colleges have always been the place that you can always go, and we have championed access as being our primary sort of function in society. And also, along with that, saying, come to Parkland anytime you want, show up whenever you get the inclination to show up, and we'll serve you, we'll meet you where you are, and we'll try to make sure that you're successful. But our data show that perhaps showing up at the last minute is not in the best interest. So as we have a new building, we also have a slightly new or newer philosophy about when students should be here, and that's on-time registration. Talk a little bit about how we developed the concept, or borrowed from what everybody else in the country was doing, and how we're going to implement it here.
Well, you know, you're absolutely right that the key part of our mission is to provide this access to students, access to higher education to students who might not otherwise have had access, or from groups that have even felt disenfranchised from higher education in the past. So we have tried to keep a very open door and create these opportunities for people to enroll easily, and as you've pointed out, maybe sometimes at the last minute. But as you know, we've learned over the years, and we've known this, that there's a lot about preparing to be ready for college. Again, we hope the new building will support that, but you know, people need to be prepared in terms of their how they manage their time, their study time versus their work time, their financially, their financial preparation. So what happened is a large group of administrators, both our academic department chairs, our student services directors, people from different parts of the college got together, and they said, what are the barriers that we have in place here that we're creating that might be impeding student success? And one of the topics that came up, which of course probably seems obvious to a lot of people, is we allow students to register when it's really too late for them to register and have a good chance at success. So people have worked very hard, the academic chairs have worked very hard to schedule a number of classes that begin at the time in August when we usually think of our full semester classes beginning, but also scheduling a significant number of classes that start 3 weeks after that. So if we have a student showing up at that last minute saying, I'm here to, go to college, but they haven't applied for financial aid, and they haven't sent their transcripts from high school, and they haven't taken care of all those pieces, maybe haven't found housing if they're coming from outside the area, they have time to take care of some of those pieces and still maybe start in some classes later and be ready day one of that class to study and learn.
And part of this is a psychological preparation for going to college. I mean, this is a major decision the student is going to make coming in. Coming in when classes are already started, or the first day of classes to try to begin a process when it's too late to get financial aid. It's almost impossible to get a meeting with counselors and advisors who are swamped. There's not enough time for a student to sort of prepare themselves mentally for the challenge of coming into college.
Right. We can serve students so well right now, Seamus. I mean, if we're seeing students who are thinking about coming to school in the fall now, we have all these resources at the ready. People who can meet with them and talk about career decision making and help them apply for financial aid and help them plan their fall schedule even. But you're right, when people show up there at the last minute, all those resources are taxed, and sometimes the students who really could even use more assistance in learning about higher ed and how to navigate higher ed are having to be handled very quickly rather than more thoughtfully, as we can do when we have more time. So.
The key piece to this, though, is, I mean, our data show that when students show up, in the 2 weeks immediately prior to classes, that invariably they struggle to be successful. So, I mean, while we understand that we want to give students as much time to prepare, and the more time we have with them, the better, more likely they are to succeed, the reality is students who do show up struggle. And that's a major reason why we want to prevent.
Right. The data are, again, maybe not startling to others. Maybe they would have assumed this is the case, but really looking at students who were waiting until that week right before school starts to register, or even trying to register during the first week of class. And we would find, at least maybe 10 percentage point difference in the number of students who, passed the class or had a quality grade in the class. Yeah.
Part of the outreach piece is marketing this to our community, our students, our high school counselors and advisors, so that they know it. And a pretty exciting marketing campaign, sort of very direct, very sort of forthright, I guess, in terms of the messaging. Have we had a good response?
It's, our marketing department is pretty talented, as you know, and they have really worked with us starting in January. There are monthly messages going out to the students that are on the portal that we as employees see, so that there's one message across campus. So in January, and then again in February, we saw many, many messages across the campus about apply for financial aid. In January, do that early. And in February, messages that even would say, like, seriously, you haven't applied for financial aid, kind of get a move on. Which ended up being crucial because the state funding, the state MAP funding, was kind of cut off at the end of February. So if students didn't get that push, they wouldn't have access to those funds. And actually, we did find that just huge numbers of students submitted their FAFSA applications in those first 2 months of the year.
I think it's an anomaly that many people sort of applying to college for the first time saying, I'm going to apply for FAFSA, which is the federal student aid application that people do here. The notion that money might not be available because it may run out on the state side especially, that's really crucial information, especially for somebody who is expecting that they will be getting some support to pay for them to come to college.
Yeah, and that's become more serious, with every passing year. That it used to be that students could still get that state funding even if they were applying at the last minute, and that sort of cutoff date has become earlier and earlier every year as state funds have tightened up. And this was the earliest ever this year that they were even cut off at the end of February. Yeah.
So we also know that when students come in here, if they get in here early, on time, which I call early, they're better prepared, they're more likely to persist, they're more likely to make it through and complete, which of course are major sort of goals for our college.
Right. And I wouldn't want to discourage students who are seeing this at this point thinking, oh my gosh, the state funding's gone. There are still federal funds that are available, and of course scholarships for strong students. but that the piece of the funding for state is what's.
But the main message is that we want you to be here on time, which we mean early, and we want you to get take as much advantage of the services we have to offer, and hopefully in our student services, new student services building, it'll be just really welcoming and bright, and services available in a logical progression for people, and they'll be able to take advantage of it.
Yes, I think it'll be, students come here wanting to be successful. They have goals, and we think we know how to help them do that. So.
Well, I know that over the years we've been very successful in serving our students, and we look forward to greeting them in our new student services building in the fall when it's open and ready for action. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Okay. That's it for this edition of Parkland Report. We'll see you back here next time.
In the last 10 years, Parkland Baseball has sent 97 players onto four-year schools on baseball scholarships. We've made 5 appearances in the World Series. We have won 2 national titles, produced 3 Major League Baseball players.
I came here on a Parkland Baseball scholarship, and then I found the career that I want to go into, criminal justice. Playing sports, a lot of fun and keeps you busy.
Colin's a very dedicated player. He's got some schools that are coming out to determine how much scholarship they can offer him.